importantly, we move on to the actual harvesting. So as I mentioned, we could either harvest manually using the Run Now button, or it can be done in the background by the ERM Run Harvester script. Harvesting will only take place with active suppliers in that cron script. It will only look at active suppliers. You can run that script with a dry mode if you just want to see what providers would have been attempted during the harvesting script. And the harvesting script goes back and looks at the last run date and collects any statistics up until the current date. So any new statistics that have arrived. And these statistics are typically provided monthly. So that's why perhaps you'd want to run the report once a month or once every couple of months. That script will add any new titles it finds. So if the titles don't already exist in the title list here, then they'll be added as new titles. If they do already exist, then the counts will be updated and incremented accordingly, but the title information obviously is already there. Now, I've prepared a provider here earlier, the PTFS Europe Multiple Reports provider, and this provider supports both TRJ1 and TRJ2. So these are two varying title reports. And at the minute, we've got no run history. So we haven't actually run this provider before. The provider is active. So I'm hoping that if I hit the Run Now button, I'll be able to collect some data for this provider. Now, you can see on this dialog, we've got a begin and an end date. So I really want to go back a couple of years and just collect a sort of massive data, but perhaps if you are running this periodically or as a one-off, you might perhaps just want to quickly go and grab the reports for last month. So you may just be collecting a month's worth of data. So the harvester will pick up whatever data you ask it to here. So I'm just going to go back to beginning of 2022 to the current date. And yes, I'm going to run it now. Now, what we'll see at the top of the screen here is that two separate Koha background jobs have been started, one for TR1 report and one for TR2. This is so we could track the progress of these separately. So let's just open TR1 and the TR2. Now, one thing that we've added as part of this is a progress bar to the background jobs, which will be useful for the mark import as well, just informational really. And we can also see progress, so we can see 20 of the 2,688 titles have been imported. So that's a useful, just sort of useful information on the progress. And whilst that's running, I'm just going to hop over here and show you the data providers summary button, which I didn't touch on earlier, but this really is just a useful summary page to see what has been harvested for all report types across all providers. So it's like an at-a-glance summary of what's going on. So you can see there's the books and platform provider that I'd already harvested, and we can see, as we saw earlier, that we've got both platform and title reports. And here's the harvesting that's ongoing now, and you can see that we've harvested some title reports, but nothing else. But the other useful information here is what's the earliest data that we have in the database. So January 2022 is the earliest data. And what's the most recent data we have? So for the books and platforms, it's June. For the reports, it's July. Obviously, there won't be data for August yet because that's not finished. So that's a great little summary screen. I think it's just a useful place to look at what's going on. And then in the meantime, this job has finished, and I'm rather hoping that the other job will have finished as well. It has. That's great. So looking at the summary of what's happened here, the progress counter, rather than just saying one file is processed, we've actually enhanced the progress monitor to actually be able to count rows in a file. So it gives you a more accurate understanding of how far the file it's got. So we can see that there were 2,688 rows in that file, and of that, we've processed 1,344 titles, and we've added almost 22,000 monthly statistics and almost 5,000 yearly statistics. So that's sort of useful information. And then we get some more detail down here. So these are titles that have been added to the database. So where we have this checkbox here, that means it's a new title. So it's been added for the first time, and statistics counts added to those titles. So just notice this AORN journal here, because if we go and have a look at the other report type, which is that TRJ2 report, you can see that there was less titles in that, less rows to process in that file, 450. It's added 1,200 statistics, but in the summary here, we've got a message that actually that AORN journal has already been added. That's because it was added by the first harvest. So we haven't added a title this time, hence we've got the warning flag. But what we have done is updated the counts for that. So it's all useful information. So let's just jump back and see how that's been reflected. So the last run date you can see has been updated to just now. If we just drill down into the provider and have a look at the titles, I'm hoping there will be some titles here now. Yes, and again we can use the filter if we want to. And just to reiterate again, if we want to export the data, we can do that. Obviously, we've got 20 rows per page, so if you wanted to export them all, you'd have to extend the entry display. And let's just go and have a look at the import log for that run. So again, here's the two reports, TRJ1, TRJ2, and they were imported just now. And again, I've got the option to download or delete those files out of the system. So that's the providers. I've got one last provider here, ProQuest. This ProQuest provider, they only provide item reports. That's all. So I think this will be quite a quick one to run. So just to show you again, I'll go back perhaps to the perhaps August last year and just run that. And let's just have a look at that. Should start running in just a second. There we go. Only one row processed. So daily routines. And again, I would expect to see that under the item information. There it is. And if we go to our summary, again, we can see that's been updated, the earliest data that we hold and the most recent data that we hold for that provider.